morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Tuesday. I'm here with Julie, is the Hartlepool food coordinator for the VCS groups across the town. This is a special Talking Tuesday for us today, as this is part of our Easter programme for our young carers. So, hello to all my young carers who are watching. And it's just a bit of a chat today to talk about where people can go for food if they're struggling, what services are available. But I'm not going to chuck Julie in at the deep end because she's very new to the role, so we're going to be gentle with her. But if anyone's got any questions or comments, as usual, if you pop them in the comment section and then we'll try and get them answered. So morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Morning, thank you for joining us.
That's really cool to be here.
Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your role, Julie?
Yeah, for sure. So my role is coordinator for Hartlepool Food Council. Hartlepool Food Council are a group of semi-autonomous food organisations who have banded together during COVID to look at ways of offering a collaborative approach to, I guess, the community's needs around food at the moment. So that could be anything from crisis support or improving access to a variety of food, looking at ways to make food more affordable. So they're looking to cover a wide range of issues.
Brilliant. And how long have you been in the role?
Oh, good question. I've completely lost track of time over the pandemic. It's like all the days just merge into one.
I said this morning.
Sorry.
I was just saying, I said this morning to my kids. I said I was going to say it was Monday, and then it wasn't. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, so I started at the beginning of January, so 3 months I've been in the role now.
So, can you talk a little bit about the process? So if somebody's sort of in need of food, whether it be sort of an emergency, so where can they go? What can they do?
So I guess it depends on the type of support that somebody is looking for. So not everybody who is looking for support around food, it's not always a kind of, people aren't always in a crisis. It's not always a case of that they're completely struggling to feed their family, but some people could just maybe do with improved access to food. So that could be that they don't have transport to go to a supermarket. They could be in work and they could be, maybe don't have transport, so they don't have as much time to be able to shop around for food. So they're relying on going across to their local store, whether that be a Spar or something close to them. And maybe the variety of food within those shops isn't particularly optimal for their health. So they may be limited with what they can actually gain access to. So we have organisations, we've had the bread and butter thing is a new project that's come into town. And they now have, I think they have 3 hubs up and running, with a 4th one due to open, which is great. So their hubs are located we've got one in the central hub, which is the town library. We have South Hub, which is on Wynyard Road Community Centre. We also have one operating from Pooley Time Exchange, which is in the Bearbank Centre. There's a hub due to open, I think, within the next couple of weeks across on the headland from one of the church halls. And then there will be a 5th hub opening at some point in the town, but the location for that one hasn't been decided yet. So the bread and butter thing, they offer out surplus food at a cost, which is great for families who are looking to save money on their groceries but would like to pay for that food too. In the way that works is you basically sign up as a member to the service. I believe it's £7.50 for a kind of standard package. You can opt to double up that package if you have a large family. So I think you can pay, I think it's £14, and you would receive what a person would receive on a £7.50 deal, but you would get double that.
Yeah.
If you have a larger family. And it's you can opt in or out at any time. So once you become a member, you don't have to access the service every week. You receive a text asking you if you would like to collect your groceries that week, and you can reply saying either yes or no. So once you do sign up, it's not kind of you're not bound to it. You don't have to use it every week.
I think
so
that's really good.
Yeah, it really is. There's they actually collected some data from their members, which is really interesting data actually, and I think it tells us quite a lot about how access to food impacts on the way that people eat and their health and kind of the way that their lifestyle, I guess. So some of the data that I've looked at recently from the bread and butter thing, it shows us that 34% of their members are on universal credit. So I think sometimes when we think about food services, we think that they're only there for people who are maybe out of work.
Yeah.
Where I think what these figures are showing us is that that's not really how it works, and that's not true. So if only 34% of their members are on universal credit, then that shows us that the majority of the members are actually working families or people who are in work but who are on extremely low incomes. Interestingly as well, what their figures also showed was that 77% of their members said that they now cook more healthily at home now that they've gained access to a service that has improved the type of food that they can gain access to. 86% said that they tried new foods, which is great, and 69% said that they are now less lonely. So whether that's because accessing this service, they managed to make new friends, or maybe they gained access to information about other projects in the town, meaning that they're getting out and socialising a bit more. So that was quite a nice one to see that, services across the town, they sometimes, they improve people's mental health because it's maybe improving their social life. They're getting out more, talking to more people.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and it is a really good one, especially obviously with the pandemic, because people haven't been getting out. And what you were saying as well about cooking healthier, I'm a single mum, so during the pandemic I've been at home on my own with my daughter, and quite often I'll nip round to the little corner shop if there's something that I need, obviously because I haven't been wanting to take her to the supermarket and things like that. And it is very true, obviously, although they do provide obviously your basics, it's not healthy. You get a lot of sort of ready meals and things like that, whereas they don't tend to have the fresh fruit, the fresh vegetables that you can cook a meal with. So that, I think that's really good.
I've experienced exactly the same thing where I've left it kind of, it's more been a embarrassing to admit, but because I do have a car, so it's more of I can't be bothered to drive to the supermarket, so I've run over to the corner shop and thought I'll just grab something for tea. And to be honest, it's like running into Home Bargains. It's like you go in to buy one thing and you end up spending an absolute fortune. You're like, geez, all I wanted was like a loaf of bread or something, and you've spent 30 quid. It's
Yeah, completely agree with you. And they do tend to be more expensive as well than the bigger supermarkets, don't they? Especially like the little, not wanting to like name names or anything like that, but the smaller versions of the bigger supermarkets do tend to be more expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously we've got the bread and butter thing, which is relatively new, and that's a paid for service, but it is obviously very reasonable. And that's surplus, isn't it? So you don't know what you're going to get. It's a case of whatever the supermarkets or wherever have got left over, then that goes out, and it could be different every week.
Yeah. So it is different food every week, which I guess there's pros and cons to that. So you don't know if you maybe going to like all of the food, but maybe it's encouraging to explore new foods and to explore new recipes. So yeah, there is pros and cons. From what I have saw from it and kind of the feedback from the members is that actually they believe that there is a good variety of food and the majority of people are happy with what they've received.
Oh, fantastic. So that's obviously the bread and butter thing, which is paid for service. What else is there available in the town at the moment?
So we have the food bank, which is the actual food bank that is connected to the Trussell Trust. To access the food bank, you contact the welfare system at Hartlepool Borough Council. They will talk through your circumstances with you. And I think that raises a food voucher, which is passed across to the food bank, and you can go and collect food. From what I believe, I think that access, it is a kind of crisis support, but I think it's limited as to how many times that you can access that service within the I think it's like a 6-month period, and you can access that service 3 times in 6 months, I believe. And they offer out a great variety of food, fantastic service. They've been really adaptable throughout the pandemic. So they switched from having the community members come to them. They started delivering. So they managed to adapt and change their service that way. So I believe the food bank at the moment is looking at ways to open back up to the community and how they can start to get people coming back in their doors again. So there is there's the food bank, Trussell Trust Food Bank. We also have Pooley Time Exchange. They're another food organisation in town. Throughout the pandemic, they've been delivering crisis support food parcels. So anybody who's kind of struggled if they've found themselves in circumstances where they've needed instant access to food, so that could be anything from somebody who's gone through a breakup, they've maybe, somebody who's lost their job. There's been a lot of job loss throughout the pandemic.
Haven't had the universal credit come through yet, and
or anybody who's had to isolate and they maybe don't have family who can pop to the shop for them. There's lots of different reasons why somebody may need access to a crisis support around food. So they've been delivering hot meals into the community. They've also been delivering food parcels, and those services are still accessible at the moment. So you can call into Pooley Time Exchange. If you find yourself in circumstances where you need instant access to food, you can give them guys a ring. They'll be happy to talk to you and help in any way that they can. We also have Hartlepool Food Network. So Hartlepool Food Network isn't accessible to the general public, but they are accessible to other organisations. So if if you're a carer, or if you work for, say, social services, or if you run a breakfast club, if schools can access their service. So they have I don't even know what to call it. I guess a lock-up facility on Northgate on the headland, and you can register to have an induction. And once you are inducted, you'll be able to access. You'll be able, you'll receive the code. You'll be able to access the storage shop, and you'll be able to pop in, take whatever food that you need, fill in a form to say what you've taken, and then deliver that out to whoever you need to deliver it out to. So kind of members of the public, people that you're working with, school children, if you're working with school children. So that's another great service in the town. We also have Communities of Hope and St Aidan's Kitchen, which is the soup kitchen at St Aidan's Church. I think that's been a fantastic service throughout the pandemic. So every Thursday you can go down to St Aidan's Church, and I believe it starts at around 9:30, and they are giving out food parcels to anybody who needs it. There's no access criteria at all. You can just head down there, queue outside, and you will have access to a variety of food. So they give out things like fresh food, cupboard staples, sanitary products. I believe that there's kind of household cleaning products and things like that. So that's another great service. I'm trying to think of everything off the top of my head.
Putting you on the spot, haven't you? I know the annex as well.
Yeah,
the
annex in the Dyke House area. So they have been putting out food tables 3 times a week. So outside of the annex every Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 9:30. They pop out a food table outside, and they pop on, again, this is surplus food. So this is surplus food from the supermarket. So it tends to be a good variety. There tends to be kind of some fresh food, bread, just a variety of, tinned pasta, lots of different products. So again, you can just head down there. There's no criteria. You can queue outside and basically take whatever you need from their service too.
And other one I have to mention is Hartlepool United Community Sports Foundation, the Pools Perishables on a Monday.
Pools Perishables, yeah. So I believe Pools Perishables, they are operating on a Monday at the moment.
Yeah, it's by appointment only, that one, isn't it?
Yes, it is by appointment only. So that was my cat just
It's all right, my daughter's just paid as well. I'll do it in a minute for you, Denon. I'm just on a live interview, Constance. Oh, I'll do it for you in a minute. Sorry about that. So yeah, so Pools Perishables is by appointment only on a Monday. Deborah's asking, technology. Is the annex only for people that actually live in the Dyke House area? I don't think there is any stipulation, is there?
I don't think there is any real stipulation. I mean, it is in the Dyke House area, but no. I think there's people who travel from around town. If you can travel, to access that service. So no, there's no stipulation for that. You can access it from, it doesn't really matter where you live. You can go and access that service.
And my lovely little friend Emily said hi Emily, hope you're okay. And Nikki,
Hello.
just popping back to what we were talking about earlier, said universal credit also does not necessarily make it work, which is very true. So yeah, so the percentage of people who are accessing the bread and butter thing who aren't in employment, that could actually be less, because although we were saying obviously 36%.
Yeah, that's I'm glad that point's just been brought up actually. Yeah, that's a great point to bring up. Yeah, so that could even be less.
Could actually be even less.
Yes, if you're a single parent and you're working, then your wage could be topped up with universal credit. Yeah, that is a really good point. So, I guess the majority of people accessing the service are people who aren't actually claiming benefits. They're in work. So I guess that's shown us that really trying to live on a basic wage in the UK at the minute, it is tough.
Yeah. Wendy, hi Wendy. Wendy said that she's used the bread and butter scheme and it was a good variety. That's really good to hear.
Oh, fantastic.
I think it's like anything. It's sort of, it's going to have as it sort of starts to work, it's going to have its little it's going to have tweaks and there's going to be little issues, but it's another service. And I think the important thing about all of these services is, and something that we need to get across to everybody, is there is no stigma about needing support and needing help. This year's been tough for everybody, whether or not you're in employment, whether you're not in employment, whether you're a single person, whether you've got 5 kids, 2 kids. It's been hard for everyone.
Absolutely. I've used surplus food myself quite regularly throughout the pandemic. I'm a single parent at the moment. I work, but it is tough. It can be really difficult to manage finances and to, everything that comes with having children. It's a very expensive, it is expensive to balance everything. So there certainly is no stigma at all. But I think people feel that, we say that there is no stigma, but if people feel that stigma's there, then I guess we need to think about why that is. And is it because we don't always, do we need to normalise using these services a little bit more? Like I'm just saying there, I'm a working parent and I do access surplus food. So I hope that helps to remove some of that stigma, that it's not, you don't have to be labelled as somebody who is, I don't think of myself as needy or vulnerable, which is I think sometimes when we look in the media, these are words that we see attached to food support services, and it's not, them labels for me don't need to be there. I think some of the language around food support services need to be addressed.
And this is something I was actually talking with Darren, not last week, the week before. I was talking to Darren from Hartlepool Action Lab, and this is something that we touched on there about sort of changing the wording we use around poverty and sort of breaking down those barriers. And I think that you're completely right, Junie. I think it's a really important conversation to have. And please, if you need help, don't be afraid to go and ask for it. Please don't be ashamed. It's absolutely nothing wrong with needing help.
I think as well is to, when we talk about needing help, sometimes it's not so much needing help. It's like, how is your life at the moment? Can you afford to have fun? Can you afford to study? Can you afford to take a holiday? Because these, your intellectual health is really important to your overall health. Being able to take time and enjoy a break away with your family, away from work, and to have fun, that is really important for your mental health again and your overall health. So if you're in a situation where you can't afford to have a day out with your family, or you can't afford to study, or any of those things, it doesn't have to just be that you're struggling to feed yourself. It can be that you're struggling in one of those other areas. And services like the bread and butter thing, that's not just there for people. In fact, it's not there for people who are struggling to feed themselves. It's there for families who would like to access cheaper, discounted food. There is no criteria for that. So you can be, you can be in work and access that service. I think sometimes people are scared to access services because they're like, oh, if I drive down to this service in my car, people are going to think, why is he or she here when they can clearly afford a car?
Yeah.
That's kind of that's the kind of judgment that we want to remove, really.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. Like you said, if I wanted to go and take my daughter on holiday, then I'm going to have to cut costs somewhere. So why not do it that way?
Of course. And I think that's the great thing about seeing other services come into town, is that, I think we've had a huge gap for a service like that previously. So it's really cool to see that happening. We do also have an organisation due to come into town called Food Cycle, which is quite an interesting one. So Food Cycle offer up community meals. So
Right.
they tend to collaborate with organisations who maybe have either a church hall or a community hub with a, ideally a commercial type kitchen, because they need to be able to cook, and they use surplus food to cook up meals. I think they mainly operate on an evening. So anybody who accesses that service, you are invited as a guest, and the same as kind of a restaurant. And the way that they operate is they have, so members of the community work as either a host or a cook to cook up a meal to serve out to other members of the community. And it's just really cool that, we're using food to bring people together. So again, that service isn't designed for, or isn't limited to people who are maybe struggling to feed themselves. It could just be that you feel a little bit lonely, or you feel a bit isolated, and you would actually like to go down and meet other people and socialize. So that's a really interesting service. And the kind of the way that they do that is a bit ready, steady, cook style, is how Harry Barham, who's the regional manager, that's how he described it to me. So they never really know what food they're going to get delivered. So they get their surplus food delivered on the day that they're going to do the community cook. And it's kind of the cook to the left looking, right, what are we going to make out of this today?
I've got an avocado, some chocolate, and I don't know, a fish.
yeah. What can we cook up with this? So that
sounds brilliant. And I think so many people have been sort of isolated and lonely over the last year. And I know we see it a lot with our carers at the moment, is that they're scared to go back out into the community, which is completely understandable. They're either scared because of the virus, or they're scared because they haven't lived with other people for so long. Yeah. So I think an opportunity like that, I think, is brilliant. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I think so. Just to, help people just gradually, I guess, move back towards normal life. I know I felt it myself. It's been a really strange time, a really tough time for everybody.
It definitely has. Have you got anything else that you want to cover, Julie? Is there anything that we've missed?
Possibly.
Probably. Always come off these things and go, I meant to ask that, or I meant to mention that. Yeah. What about sort of social media and stuff? Is there anyone worth following? Do you guys have your own social media, or do we just sort of follow the independent little the VCS groups?
I think for now, I trying to follow the independent VCS groups. The field council is very new, so they only come together during COVID, so everything's pretty new at the moment. Still kind of figuring out how things work and how to gel together. So I get to follow the individual organisations on social media. So, the Hartlepool Food Network, they also have a website, and they do have a community cookbook, which is a great resource on their website. And I think that, as things start to get back to normal and we can go outside again, they will be looking at their food and fuel fairs they do.
Yeah.
So I imagine there'll be updates about that. There's the Annex there on Facebook, which is the Wharton Trust. Pooley Time Exchange, which I think is quite a well-known one in town. They have Facebook, and I think they have quite a large following. So you can follow their page. Who else have we got? We've got Hartlepool Carers. I know you guys are on Facebook.
Yeah, we've actually put together a list of, like, a little flyer with all the different days where people can go for the food each day. So if anyone is in need of that, we'll put that back up on our Facebook again, but that's got where you can go each day, where's offering food, and also things like, obviously, it's the shielding's coming to an end now, but there's things like the Morrison service where you can ring up Morrison's and get food delivered if you were shielding, or things like that. So we've got that flyer, so we'll get that put out there again, so that you've got everything in one place. Wendy has said she's struggled going back out with having a shield. And Yasmin has said the same, that she's been scared to go out after COVID-19. I know Yasmin was really poorly, bless her, and I hope she's feeling a little bit better now. And she's just slowly starting to go back out. And she's also said, just so glad for all the help that is being given. It makes me happy to know that there are things out there. And this is what me and Julie were saying before we actually came on. Obviously, it's been a really, really hard year, and there's been a lot of sadness and a lot of negativity. But one really good thing that's come out of it, and Darren said the same actually 2 weeks ago, is the sense of community spirit and how the people of Hartlepool have all pulled together. And that I think that has been one positive to take away from it, that all the community groups have sort of working together. And sit on a board, and we meet every 2 weeks, and there's loads of different community groups that come together and talk about what we're doing and promote it with each other, and it's lovely, and it's great to hear the work that is going on out there. And I think that that's definitely blown up because of COVID.
I think that's something that's very, very unique to Hartlepool and possibly to the North East, is actually how well we band together anyway. I hear people talk about, maybe from further down south, when they talk about the pandemic, and they're like, oh, the only time you ever see people come together is during crisis. I'm not sure I'd completely agree with that, because I think in Hartlepool, we band together anyway. I think a lot of people in Hartlepool managed to get through extremely traumatic times in life because of the community spirit. For anybody who's grown up on a council estate in town, I'm sure you remember all too well that, if one of our parents couldn't feed us, somebody else's parent would. It was kind of that everybody looked out for each other, and I think we've always had that in Hartlepool. One thing that's kind of struck me coming into the voluntary and community sector is that I actually wasn't aware of how many services we have in town, how many opportunities there is to volunteer, what that volunteering role can actually offer to individuals as well. You pick up skills, you pick up knowledge, you learn to develop your empathy. These are all skills that transfer across into jobs and into working roles too. So for anybody who's looking to volunteer, a lot of these organisations, they are looking for help. And if you are feeling lonely at the moment and you are looking for something new to do, I always say that if you feel like sometimes when we're going through a difficult time, one of the most amazing things we can do is to volunteer and help others. And it can kind of be that, is it a selfish act of kindness? I don't want to put it across that way, but you kind of, I hope you get what I mean, that by doing something for somebody else, it can sometimes make us feel, it can increase, improve our self-worth.
Improve your own well-being,
Yeah, and that can help to, help people to gain confidence. Yeah, so for anybody who's looking to volunteer at the moment, there's a lot of opportunities out there.
There is. And like Julie was saying, there is a load of services out there, not just around food, but there is lots and lots of services out there in Hartlepool. And again, I didn't realise about half of them. So a really good place to look at is the Hartley Power website, because they sort of organise the VCS groups. So a lot of them, they've got lots of information about all the different groups that are on within the town. And there is some really, really good ones and lots of good services. And hopefully now with sort of lockdowns easing, they're going to start to be able to get up and running a bit more now. And
for sure.
What they're offering.
Yeah, so that's actually where I'm based from. I'm based from the Hartley Power office with Julie and Julian. So there's a lot of information on the Hartley Power website, a lot of valuable information around kind of organisations. So that would be a great place for people to look.
Oh, brilliant. Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Julie. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we've chucked you in at the deep end because you are new to the role, but you've done brilliantly, so well done.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure
Um,
if we ever talk again in the future, maybe I hope that I have a bit more awareness of what's going on myself.
Deborah's asked what's VCS. Sorry, that is the voluntary community sector. So it's a
It
different
is
sort of,
jargon, isn't it? You've got to get to know the
yeah,
jargon. When I
yeah.
started my role, I was like, what is the VCS? What does this acronym mean? And that's kind of been a big thing for me, learning what all these different things mean. But yeah, it just means the voluntary and community sector.
But that includes people like carers, Hartley Power, Hartlepool Action Lab, Baby Bank, all of those sort of people all come under that umbrella and all pull together and meet regularly to find out what's going on and sort of share the services and point our service users in the right direction. So if we've got somebody who needs support, we know where to send them to and vice versa. So it's really, really good to have that.
I think so. I think one of the great things now as well is that through collaboration, organisations aren't just saying, how can we support you? They collectively saying, right, what's put you in this situation? And can we, what can we do about it? So is it that we need to change policy? Do we need to lobby to the government? I think collectively now they're really starting to look at root causes and thinking how we can start
it's not
to
just about the quick fix, is it?
Yeah, for sure.
And Yasmin's just said, big thank you to both of you for all the information. You are very welcome.
Oh, thank you.
It's always a pleasure having these chats on a Tuesday. I learned so much from having these conversations that I didn't know about. And I've got some really good people lined up for the next few weeks as well. I think I put that out last week of who my sort of schedule for the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of really good services. We're going to have the Baby Bank on. We've got the NDC Trust. Loads of great people are going to be up and running. And you can watch all of my past ones on our YouTube channel. So we've had people like Hartlepool Action Lab. We've had Julian from Hartley Power. We've had, oh God, I can't even remember now, loads of people. So yeah, loads of good resources. So it's worth taking a look at the backdated ones as well on our YouTube page. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much, Julie.
No, thank you very much.
Keep up the amazing work, and hopefully we'll get to meet soon in person.
I hope so. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Would. And thank you everyone for watching, and see you all soon. Take care. Bye.